Monday Night Football. The New Orleans Saints travel to Tampa to take on the Buccaneers. Today I got my favorite player prop, spread pick, same game parlay coming your guys' way. What's going on? My name's Austin from Calling Our Shot. If you're new to our channel, do me a favor, go down below, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button too. I'm curious also who you guys think is going to win this game. Let me know down below in the comments. I'll recap how all of our plays did on Sunday in next week's video on probably Wednesday or Thursday. But before I dive into my favorite plays, I do have to say this video is sponsored by PrizePicks. PrizePicks is a great place to place your player prop parlays, and you can still win money even if one of your legs of your parlay loses. And in addition to that, if you sign up using code COS or the link in the description, you get a 100% deposit match up to $100. So you can go in, use our code or the link in the description, deposit $25, now you have $50 in your account. You deposit $100, you have $200 to play with. Take advantage of it. It's free money. Be sure to use code COS or the link below in the description. Now let's hop into my favorite player prop of this game, which I hopefully is also free money, just like that PrizePicks deposit match. Mr. Mike Evans, I'm taking his over 60.5 receiving yards, minus 104 on Caesars. I'd play this up to 65.5. And I think Mike Evans is a pretty good game on Monday Night Football. Now, it is pretty widely known that Mike Evans and Marshawn Lattimore, the Saints cornerback, aren't necessarily the best of friends. One could argue they might not be friends at all, but I think the story of Lattimore completely shutting down Mike Evans is a little bit overblown. You look at Mike Evans, has he had bad games versus the Saints? Yeah, he's had bad games, and Lattimore has had his numbers sometimes. We've seen Evans and Lattimore get into it, and Evans has been ejected, suspended a couple games, and while hopefully he doesn't get suspended tonight, I do think he has a pretty decent game against the Saints. You look at his last 9 games against them, he still hit the over in 5 of the 9 games. Now, if you need nitpick at all these games, you'll see he had games of 0, 2, 14 receiving yards. Look, that's not ideal, but I don't see him going out there and putting up less than 15 receiving yards. I just don't see that happening. I know Lattimore has been very good. He's also been banged up this season, though, too. And the Saints' defense in years past when these two teams played is a little bit different than this year's. This year's defense isn't as good as those ones. It has been pretty good as of late, but I still think Evans is going to get it going. And he's had 3 bad games in a row. I mean, what are the odds Mike Evans has 4 bad games in a row? I just don't see it happening. The last 3 games, he's had 40, 54, and 31 receiving yards. Last week versus Cleveland, Mike Evans and Tom Brady, I don't know what was going on with them. They were not on the same wavelength. Like Evans was just coming up short on routes. I know he's a little bit banged up, but they were just off. And you saw the silver lining, though. He had 155 air yards. Just him and Brady could not connect on anything. And I have a feeling over the last week and a day, because I have an extra day to practice, that they will have figured that out. Mike Evans is still going to get shots thrown to him from Tom Brady. He's still going to get his chances. And all he has to do is come down with one. We know Mike Evans is a guy that's capable of hitting this over in just one play. He's done it before. And Evans on the year is averaging 70.2 receiving yards per game. I think people might get a little cute taking his under, thinking Lattimore's going to shut him down, but I just don't necessarily see that happen. I know Evans hasn't been great as of the last 3 weeks, but on the year, still hit this over in 6 of the first 7 games of the year. So still hitting this in 6 of the 10 games, and he's averaging 112 air yards per game. Like I said, 155 air yards last game. They kept taking shots. They just couldn't connect on any of them. Maybe they connect on 1 or 2 tonight, or Evans just does a lot of work in the middle of the field. I think Evans is a pretty good game on Monday Night Football. I think people will get cute, try to take his under. I don't think that's how it works. I think Mike Evans has a pretty big night. So give me his over, 60.5 receiving yards. Getting a big discount on him just based off the last 3 games. I think he steps up in this one. Now, before I get into my spread pick, I don't really lean at over under, so I actually do like the Saints in this matchup. That's going to be our spread pick for today, plus 3.5. Currently minus 107 on points bet. Would not surprise me if this does go to plus 4. I've seen a couple sharper books at plus 4, but I'll just take the plus 3.5. I don't see the 4, maybe the 4 pushes, but 3.5 feels good. And you look at both teams are coming off a loss. Now, the Buccaneers lost in overtime to the Browns, and a game that they really should have won. They were on the road, they were up, and they give up a 4th and 10, basically 4th and goal, and that was how they lost. They ended up going to overtime, losing there. The Saints, they'd like to forget about last week's game as they lost 13-0. They got absolutely shut out by the 49ers, and I expect the Saints offense to bounce back. A team getting shut out doesn't normally happen in back-to-back weeks unless you're like the Denver Broncos. Sorry, Broncos fans, you didn't deserve that shot, although you know your team stinks. But since arriving in Tampa, the Saints have had Tom Brady's number. I mean, they've been 4-1 straight up against Tom Brady. The only game they lost was earlier this season, and that was a game in which, they had to score. We'll talk about that game in a second, but you look at the 2 games they played in Tampa Bay, they've absolutely dominated the Buccaneers against Tom Brady in Tampa. They've outscored them 47-3. One of the games they won 38-3, and then last year they won 9-0. Brady and the Buccaneers, like I said, got the best of the Saints earlier this year. The game was tied 4-4, or not 4-4, 3-3 going into the 4th quarter. Then Tom Brady threw a touchdown, then Jameis Winston threw a pick 6, and that was basically all she wrote. But you look at this season, this Buccaneers offensive line has struggled. That's been kind of why their offense can't get it going. And now they're down arguably their best offensive player, their right tackle, Tristan Wirfs. He's expected to miss several games. And this Buccaneers offensive line geez, it's averaging the fewest rushing yards per game, the fewest rushing yards per carry in the NFL. They don't run it a whole lot, but when they do, it's might as well just make it 2nd and 10 if they're running down first down. They really can't get anything going on the ground. And this Saints offense or defensive line doesn't blitz a lot. They blitz, I believe, bottom 10% in the NFL. They're just rushing 3-4 guys and just letting their coverage do the work. And with Tom Brady back there, I know he's been obviously arguably the greatest quarterback of all time, but this offensive line has not been holding up, and I think the Saints will be able to get some pressure, get the Buccaneers off the field. And even if this is a game where you see the Saints down by 10 in the fourth quarter, this Buccaneers team has struggled to put teams away. They should have put away the Browns last week. They couldn't get it done. They have no run game, and I just don't know. I'd rather take the road underdog plus the 3.5. This was just a 3-point spread. Probably wouldn't take it, but the fact you're getting that field goal as a win, I'll take it. I like the Saints plus the 3.5 points. Now, it's time for same game parlay time, and I need a vent, because the last couple same game parlays, whether it's in the NFL or the NBA, they make me want to gouge my eyes out because it has been brutal. We lose by 1 leg every single time. So let me know which leg you don't think hits, because we keep losing by 1 yard. I think last week we lost by 2 yards, 1 yard for 2 players. We lost earlier this week on a Luka Doncic by 1 or 2 assists. It's been brutal, but this one's hitting. We're going with these 5 legs. Mike Evans, already talked about him, taking his over in receiving yards. Mike Evans, anytime touchdown. We'll talk about that in a second. Chris Godwin, under 68.5 receiving yards. The New Orleans Saints, alt spread plus 14.5, and then the under, an alt under 54.5 points. Now, no, the Saints are not 14.5 point underdogs. That's just an alt line that we took on FanDuel. And no, the over-under's not 54.5 normally. It's 40, but we added 14 points basically to each of these. And I like the safety there. Now, I think those 2 legs can hit. I don't see this being a high-scoring game. And if it is, then, well, probably Mike Evans at least hit his over in receiving yards. But I don't see them going over 54.5 points. Now, Evans and Godwin, I don't see them having 2 good games, both each. It normally seems to be one or the other. Chris Godwin's been very good as of late. Maybe he has a down week and we see Mike Evans step up. Wouldn't surprise me at all, but I just don't see a world. I mean, it could have happened. It's happened in the past, but just not very likely we'll see both guys go above 70 receiving yards. I think it's normally one or the other, and hopefully it's Mike Evans on Monday night. And then as for Mike Evans' anytime touchdown score, look, a couple weeks on Thanksgiving, we took Amon-Ra St. Brown's to anytime touchdown score. We got him out of the blue. He had gone 7 straight weeks without a touchdown. That is exactly where Mike Evans finds himself. 7 straight weeks without a touchdown. It's obviously Mike Evans. He's like 6'4". You see Tom Brady throw it to him in the end zone over the last couple weeks. He's at 8 red zone targets. They just haven't been able to connect. You saw Chris Godwin prior to like 2 or 3 weeks ago. He didn't have a touchdown. He had the most targets, I think the second most targets without a touchdown. Well, they figured out how to get Chris Godwin a touchdown. I think they can figure out a way to get Mike Evans into the end zone. It's against the Saints. They're going to play one-on-one coverage in the red zone. And I think if they just throws one up to Mike Evans, he might have a chance to bring it down. He's had some very, very close chances. Hopefully he gets into the end zone for the same game parlay. Plus 1,019 odds. You see the 5 legs on the screen. Let's cash that one out, and let's not lose by 1 leg once again, and 1 yard to be specific. That's the most brutal part. But those are my favorite plays of the day. As always, reminder, sign up for PrizePicks using our code COS or the link down below in the description. You get a 100% deposit match up to $100. I appreciate you guys, as always, for tuning in. Monday Night Football, let's have a great week. Hopefully we had a great Sunday with our picks, and we'll be back again on Wednesday or Thursday with the recap of our favorite picks, plus our Thursday Night Football video. Plus, you'll always see the everyday NBA videos. Appreciate you guys, as always. This is Austin. I'm signing out. Peace.